If you have known and loved someone with borderline personality disorder, there's a good chance you have experienced the phenomenon known as a favorite person. I'm Lisa Blanc, therapist, life coach, and author, and today I'm talking about 10 things you need to know about being a borderline's favorite person. I don't want to imply that everyone's experience is the same, so please feel free to share your perspectives and experiences being a favorite person in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Okay, first, let me briefly explain what it means to be a favorite person. So someone with BPD has great difficulty regulating their emotions, and they need to rely on others for their stability and their sense of self. They often choose one person that they rely on heavily, and this person becomes everything to them, to the point where the person with BPD can't cope without this person's constant reassurance and support. A favorite person can be a romantic partner, a close friend, or even sometimes a therapist or family member. And for more information about what it's like for the person with BPD to have a favorite person, please click on the link above. Okay, so here are 10 things in no particular order that you need to be aware of if you're going to be cast into the role of favorite person or if you're already in that role. Number one, the person with BPD will rely on you very heavily to help them figure out who they are, to help them regulate their emotions, and to support them through difficult situations, which can be very frequent for the person with BPD who is prone to interpersonal chaos, drama, and conflict. So they form a super heavy dependency on you as their favorite person. And as time goes on, this dependency intensifies until you become their be-all, end-all, where, like I said before, they can barely function without you and rely on you just to get through the day. Now, of course, keep in mind that the severity of the disorder will have a huge impact on this level of dependency. Number two is obsession. As the person with BPD focuses almost all of their time, energy, and thoughts on you as their favorite person, they start needing to know your every move, needing to know your whereabouts at all times, and especially needing to know who you are paying attention to and who you're spending your time with. The borderline tends to become increasingly clingy and gets more and more obsessed and consumed with thoughts of this favorite person, you, as time goes on. And at first, it might feel good to be the center of someone's attention, to feel so needed. The borderline's intense affections towards you might be very flattering. And in the beginning, they probably made you feel more important and more valuable than you've ever felt before in your life. But as their attachment to you intensifies, so do their symptoms. Number three, the main symptom that flares up and causes major problems in the relationship is the fear of rejection and abandonment. Because of their intense sensitivity to rejection and abandonment, the person with BPD is constantly on the lookout for anything that might indicate that you are no longer interested, valuing them, or maybe that you're preparing to leave the relationship. And even if there's no threat, nothing is on your mind, you're not even thinking that, the person with BPD will often perceive things that aren't real. And no matter what you say or do, that fear of rejection and abandonment cannot be quashed. Deep down, they feel unworthy and unlovable. So they're thinking, why would anyone want to stay with them? And it's this pre-existing belief that often causes them to act in ways that push or force the end of the relationship. Number four, no-win situations. Once you become the borderline's favorite person, you will often find yourself between a rock and a hard place. For example, let's say the person with BPD messages you in the morning asking what you're doing today, and you have plans to visit another friend. If you tell the truth, it makes the person with BPD feel rejected and abandoned, and this can often cause anger. And they may unleash that anger on you. So then instead of enjoying a visit with your other friend, you end up tied up in efforts to de-escalate the borderline's anger. If you don't respond immediately, it often increases the person's insecurities, often to the point where they frantically reach out, asking if they've done something wrong, whether you're mad at them, maybe putting themselves down, or concocting a situation that forces you to respond immediately. The person with BPD may do drastic things to get your attention and your reassurances when they need it. On the other hand, let's say you lie and tell them that you're working on a project or something. Well, this might work temporarily, but if they find out, they will interpret it as a betrayal of epic proportions. So as the favorite person, you may end up finding yourself expending a lot of energy trying to avoid the borderline's emotional distress and angry outbursts and feeling like you're walking on eggshells. So this is just one example. There are a million, so feel free to share your experiences of being between a rock and a hard place or walking on eggshells in the comment section. Okay, number 5 is extreme jealousy. So the borderline is prone to being very, very jealous because they see every relationship you have as a threat. This can even extend to your children, family members, colleagues, anyone really. And this jealousy can leave you feeling isolated because you start avoiding other people as to not trigger the borderline's jealousy. Number 6, splitting. The person with BPD sees things in black and white. So if you do something that they don't like, it will evoke strong emotions in them. They will ruminate intensely on how you hurt them, how you betrayed them, how you don't love them, don't value them, and how horrible you are. You will meet another side of them that is very attacking and possibly manipulative. So at first, the person with BPD has you on a pedestal. You can do no wrong, you are perfect. But with any little misstep, you come crashing off that pedestal and become the most horrible person ever for a while. And this misstep can be something as simple as forgetting to say good morning, not calling when you said you would, looking in the direction of an attractive person, things that don't even register with most people. But to the person with BPD, it is a grave blunder on your part. So the problem for the favorite person is that they are held to such unrealistic standards that they can never meet or maintain them. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you care or try to avoid hurting the person or offending them, you will do or not do something that gets you knocked off the pedestal. And these extreme swings from idealization to devaluation can leave you feeling super frustrated, super confused, and it can lead you to doubt yourself, wondering if in fact you are doing something wrong. The person with BPD can be very convincing, and they can set you up to believe that you are in fact at fault for their anger, their fear, their shame, and any other painful emotional experiences that they're having. Number 7, you feel guilty and like a failure. As the favorite person, you may start feeling bad about not being able to meet the needs of the person with BPD because you likely care for them, and the last thing you wanted to do was cause more pain and suffering. But as time goes on, you may find that you're doing more harm than good because the person with BPD will blame you when they're emotionally dysregulated and when they are splitting. The feeling of responsibility for the borderline's moods and emotional outbursts becomes too much to handle. You feel like you can't do anything right. You can't fix anything. You're constantly having to justify everything you do, reassure them that they're still valued, still important, and it can be really exhausting. That on top of drama and chaos and all of the problems that they're having that they need your help with. And you might start to feel that you don't have the same needs or desire for this level of responsibility and closeness. And you might not always want to be there for them. So even if you did want this responsibility to be their everything, they will still get angry and upset with you at times. They will still blame you and see you as the cause of their emotional distress and problems, and they will likely make you feel like you're not doing enough, even though you're probably doing more for them than anyone that's ever been in your life before, and yet you still feel guilty and like a failure. Number 8, you feel resentful. As you become more and more responsible for the person with BPD's emotional stability, they will demand more and more from you. You'll be expected to be there for them through any and all problems. You will be expected to always see their point of view, to always support whatever they need, even if it's at the expense of your own needs. You will be expected to be available at all times. And if you're not available immediately, they will fall into an even bigger spin. Now your response or lack of response is the problem. It's because you don't care, you don't value them. They're upset at you now. As a favorite person, you may start to feel resentment, as a lot of your time and energy becomes directed at stabilizing the person with BPD. And it's not what you signed up for. It's costing you your own sense of stability and well-being, and you don't know how to shift the relationship into a more balanced and healthy one, and everything you try doesn't work. Number 9, fear. So for the favorite person, the intensity of the emotional dependence can be really overwhelming and even scary. If the borderline struggles with self-harm and suicide, there's an even greater fear for the favorite person because they can worry and carry the burden that if they don't provide the right support at the right time, that the person might hurt themselves or worse. Eventually, it gets to the point where the favorite person feels overburdened, overwhelmed, stressed, and afraid. And this can lead to an internal conflict about really wanting to be there to support the person with BPD and to make good on your promise that you'll never abandon them, with the desire to get out from under this constant pressure, stress, drama, and chaos. Number 10. In some situations, the person with BPD will discard and replace the favorite person, usually because they've knocked you off the pedestal and decided that you are unredeemable, or they're seeing signs that you're going to leave. But oftentimes, the favorite person is the one that gets to a point where they feel the need to end the relationship because it's just too much. To the borderline, being abandoned by the favorite person is the worst possible thing that could happen. They see no life beyond the favorite person. They will operate on autopilot frantically, making efforts to prevent the favorite person from actually leaving them. If the borderline struggles with self-harm or suicidal behavior, these symptoms will come out full force during this period of time. And to you, the favorite person, it may feel like the borderline is trying to manipulate you to get you back. But in most cases, they truly don't see a future without you. They feel like their whole world is being ripped away. The pain and the grief that they experience when losing a favorite person has been described to me as being comparable to the death of a close loved one, but worse, because they have to grieve the loss of someone who is still alive, but just doesn't want to or can't have them in their life anymore. They can go all out to get you to change your mind. And even if you've blocked them everywhere, they might try to communicate with you and find other ways to get to you. It may even get to the point where you feel like you're being harassed or stalked. And no matter how many times or how many ways or how compassionately you tell them that you just can't do this anymore, they won't give up. And if you give in at all, the person with BPD will see this as the opening that they need, and they will escalate the intensity of their efforts, taking new angles to get you to recommit to the relationship. They'll promise to change. They'll promise that things are going to be different. And this can be a really difficult time for the favorite person because on the one side, you're feeling relief. But on the other hand, you feel guilty and downright horrible for hurting someone that you care about and abandoning someone that you probably promised a million times that you would never abandon. So the borderline is not choosing to have a favorite person. This is hard for them. It's part of their illness. They're not wrong, bad, or at fault. But if you are in the role of a favorite person, you will need to maintain strong boundaries with the person with BPD. Otherwise, the roller coaster ride you find yourself on will be never ending and it will suck the life out of you. That said, maintaining boundaries with someone with BPD is a whole lot easier said than done. They don't want your boundaries, and if you waver, they will take advantage, leading both back into an unhealthy dynamic and cycle of dependency. If you decide to maintain this relationship, though, just know that you have to adjust your expectations. You have to understand that BPD is an illness and the person is not likely to change unless they're receiving intense professional supports over a long period of time. If you enjoyed this video, please comment, subscribe, and to learn more about the 4 types of borderline personality disorder, just click on the link above.